Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for our weekly press conference. I hope people all across the community really enjoyed Light Up Louisville, which happened just outside here at Metro Hall on Saturday night. It was an amazing event where families from across the city, from across the region gathered together. If you haven't seen the wonderful holiday and local themed video mapping show that literally brought Metro Hall's facade alive, or the drone show we had on Saturday night, I encourage everyone to check out Metro TV to see it, because it truly was a wonderful, one-of-a-kind community celebration. And we're excited to help bring people together from all across the city, and we'll continue to do that in the years ahead. You know, we've got great momentum going on across the city, and that was reflected in Saturday night's Light Up Louisville. We had a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate, and I'm really excited about 2025 being right around the corner. This time of year, I often start to reflect back, whether I'm mayor or in any other position, just on the year that has been, and what a year it has been. It has been a great year for our economy here in Louisville. We've created nearly 5,000 new jobs. We received a commitment for $1 billion of investment here from the Kentucky General Assembly into our city, including $100 million right here in downtown Louisville. We established the new Louisville Economic Development Alliance, which is now doing a national search for a new CEO that we hope to have in place early in the new year. Well, we didn't quite make it. We made a big splash on the national scene as a finalist for the Sundance Film Festival as it considers a relocation. And in different parts of our cities, it's not just downtown, but it's all across our city that have had a very positive economic year. Within West Louisville, the opening of the first hospital in over 150 years with Norton West Louisville Hospital. The Stellar Snacks opening is creating hundreds of new jobs there in West Louisville as well. And the Goodwill Opportunity Center, MMY, that's building new housing, and many more. In the South End, we've just announced recently a new $200+ million community that's developing. Lots of projects going on all across town. In the East End, our first Publix in Louisville has opened, and so much more. Today, we're going to zoom in a little bit on downtown. You've already heard about some of the things, but talking about where we're headed in the new year as well. And last week, that momentum was just reflective with the $250+ million investment that Diamond Baseball Holdings announced in partnership with us that they are making just east of Louisville Slugger Field, west of I-65, an innovative, transformative project that's going to create hundreds of new jobs, bring hundreds of new people to live downtown, to stay downtown, to eat downtown, and to continue all of the excitement that's going on. That project, like others that we've been working on this year, are talking about reusing surface parking lots. We have far too many surface parking lots, and creating new communities like the Diamond Baseball Holdings project are not only great to create jobs and create more activity, but also they're great for the historic urban feel that we have here in downtown. But we also have a lot of empty buildings. And so today we're going to focus on those. How we're going to convert some of our empty buildings in downtown Louisville to be a part of the transformation, to be a part of the revitalization, of the reimagination of downtown Louisville. Like other cities across the country, we're dealing with a post-pandemic economy and world. That means fewer workers are coming into downtown every day. That's happening while our overall economy continues to grow, and downtown continues to become a more vibrant place for visitors, for people coming for events to experience great things like Light Up Louisville, Cardinals volleyball season, so many other great activities happening in downtown Louisville. But just like we have too many surface parking lots, and we've taken action to address that, we also right now have too many vacant buildings. We have beautiful historic buildings that need to be repurposed from their prior use as office space into something else, into housing, into hospitality, into entertainment, or retail space, or whatever one's mind can imagine. And there's big demand for that. According to our friends at the Louisville Downtown Partnership that do a lot of work in focusing in this area and a lot of research that informs our decision making and our activity, There's a demand for over 3,000 new downtown housing units. That includes rental units and units that are owned as condos. We want to meet that demand. We want to help revitalize downtown in every building. We want every building in downtown Louisville that is not alive now to come alive, so we can see even more great moments like we had on Saturday, like we're going to continue to see in the months ahead. And that's why today I'm proud to announce that thanks to the historic investment from the Kentucky General Assembly, as part of that $100 million commitment to downtown Louisville, we are launching a new Downtown Louisville building conversion program. The goal of this program is to help developers and property owners take existing buildings and make the necessary renovations to turn what was once an office building into something else, to reimagine their now vacant building into a building that has life, activity, energy, that creates jobs, that creates exciting, wonderful moments for people who live in Louisville to enjoy and for people all around our city and community and country to enjoy as well. To help revitalize these buildings, to continue to build a thriving downtown, a downtown that contributes to the economic prosperity in every corner of our city, in every neighborhood, in every Metro Council district. So to fund these conversions, as I mentioned, we're launching this program using funds that were invested in our city by the Kentucky General Assembly. I want to give another thanks to the leaders of the Kentucky General Assembly who made this historic commitment into our city. President Stivers, Speaker Osborne, our local delegation, led by Senator Julie Rocky Adams, Representative Nemes, Democrats and Republicans alike, who came together to invest in our community. We're going to use a limited portion of that $100 million. Certainly not all of it. We have a lot of other projects in the works as well, some of which we've talked about in recent weeks. But we are going to use this money wisely to help convert vacant buildings into more engaged activities. So to be clear, the Downtown Building Conversion Program will only fund adaptive reuse projects that are focused within our central business district. That means we want to see proposals that preserve the basic architecture of the buildings that already exist in downtown and repurpose them, bring them back to life. We're very interested in more people living downtown. We're going to give a priority to projects that include housing, particularly that include some affordable housing. These are projects that are really important as we think about creating a 24/7 neighborhood that's growing here in downtown Louisville. But we'll also consider all development opportunities for hospitality, for entertainment, for retail, whatever one's mind can imagine and that can be accomplished. We'll be taking applications for this funding through February 10th. This project is going to be administered by our Cabinet for Economic Development. So now, to give a few more details about some of the program parameters, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of our Cabinet for Economic Development, Jeff O'Brien, who with his team helped put this program in place. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. We are very excited about this program. It's going to help encourage property owners to convert their vacant buildings to residential, hospitality, or other different uses in our downtown that activate downtown, like the Mayor just said. We want to get these funds out quickly and are looking for shovel-ready projects that can begin construction within 18 months from the program approval and reach substantial completions within 36 months. The funds are only to be used for construction, and applicants will be required to provide us details about their project, including their sources of capital that they've already been approved for and what gap there is to complete the project. Mayor said central business district, so let's just further define what we mean by central business district. These are projects that are between the Ohio River, York Street to the south, I-65 to the east, and 10th Street to the west. So we're going to award money based on the impact of the project in terms of revitalizing downtown and the contributions to the overall growth of Louisville's economy. Again, like Mayor said, these applications are going to be due on February 10th, 2025. You can get more information from this at www.louisvilleky.gov/economic development. And again, we are focused on residential projects and particularly affordable housing projects. That's because we're trying to bring downtown alive, and we know the more residents we have in our downtown, the more vibrant it will become. So we are really, again, we're looking for those applications to be in by February the 10th. You can see the full program details at that website I just said there, www.louisvilleky/economic development. Again, we are very grateful to the mayor and the General Assembly for funding this program and allowing this downtown building conversion program to launch. So we're excited to see those applications, and we'll be looking forward to seeing them come in by February. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Mayor.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll take questions about the program in a moment, but there are many buildings in downtown Louisville that are eligible. You have great historic buildings like here just next door to us across the street, the Kentucky Home Lice building. There are other buildings that have come that are newer that might not necessarily be on the historic registry, but that are vacant. So if the more vacant your building is, the more we want to help bring back life to those buildings. And again, we'll take questions about that at the conclusion of our remarks here today. But first, I want to get to one other announcement. Because building a thriving economy that we've talked about is one of the ways that we create a safer, stronger, and healthier city. Another very important aspect to that work is the way that we come together to support members of our community who are the most vulnerable. And that includes people who are in our city who are experiencing homelessness. We're working to help more of those folks stay safe and get on their feet in a variety of ways. One of those ways is through the Community Care Campus, which is under construction right now. They've already opened a temporary emergency shelter for families as we head into winter. And with winter coming, it's a major concern for us so that folks that might be living on the streets have a place to stay warm. When the temperature drops below freezing, it can be a question of survival for people that don't have a place to call home. We have warming centers that are open on especially cold days. Metro facilities like libraries, community centers, and neighborhood place locations that already serve as warming centers. And there's a network of shelters that also is operated by nonprofits, agencies, and houses of worship that also help in this regard as well. But there's not always enough space, particularly outside of our urban core. There are people who need shelter outside of downtown. And homeless services are like every service we provide to the community. We know we have to serve people in every neighborhood, in every corner of our city, inside the Waterson Expressway and outside the Waterson Expressway. And sometimes it's important to work with great partners to make that happen, to provide these needed services. And that's why I'm proud to announce today that our partners at Delta Dental of Kentucky have come through once again to make a contribution to this important effort. Delta Dental is donating $40,000 to support the expansion of warming centers this winter and again over the next 4 years. They're working in partnership with our team at Louisville Metro Government, Resilience and Community Services, and also with nonprofit partners, Exodus Family Ministries, that operates in the Valley Station neighborhood. And I just got to meet some of your colleagues at Light Up Valley Station on Sunday, along with Hope International AOH, Church of God, which is on Algonquin Parkway. I want to thank you all, wonderful partners to our city, to people who need your assistance, and a special thanks to Delta Dental for this contribution to help these partnerships grow. Earlier this year, we announced a generous donation from Delta Dental as well. And that donation is making it easier for families participating in our Healthy Start program to become homeowners. So once again, thank you so much to Delta Dental for both of these contributions and helping more people who are the most vulnerable in our community stay warm and get on a new path this winter. To talk a little bit more about some of these initiatives, I'd like to introduce Deputy Mayor Nicole George, who's been very involved, very helpful in crafting this program, working with Delta Dental, working with Resilience and Community Services, our nonprofit partners in this and so many areas to help make our city and our streets safer and healthier for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, Deputy Mayor Nicole George.
Thank you. And just want to say how refreshing it is to have such a strong partner in the way of Delta Dental step up and come to Mayor and say, we want to do something in the way of homeless services, and we want to do something that really fills a gap in the community. And so, as Mayor said, we know we're doing tremendous work, particularly in our downtown area in the way of inspiring connections. And we also know we have opportunities to strengthen that, particularly in our southwest and south central neighborhoods. And so what we see with this opportunity with Delta Dental is really the ability to connect with people in our coldest months, to be able to bring folks in, offer them resources, points of connection, transportation, and long-lasting relationships, which can inspire readiness for change. I want to give a big thanks to our Homeless Services Division, who works tirelessly to be able to outreach to the community and also to be able to understand those gaps, which then informs the investment we see from Delta Dental. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor George, and thanks to all of our partners inside and outside of city government that are working so hard to support others. We look forward to continuing to find new opportunities and partnerships with great organizations like Exodus Family Ministries and Hope International AOH Church to help those in our community that need it the most. These are just two of the many things that are going on this week. We are not stopping during the holiday season. We're going to keep this momentum going through the holiday season and into the new year. Excited to continue keeping that moving forward. Thank you for joining us today. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from members of the media. Yes.
I'm here, Krisha, on behalf of Maxwell and Stay Live Streams. I wanted some clarity about the hospitality revitalization that you mentioned. Does that mean hotel, or can you say more about that?
Sure. Well, that's just one possible use. So the program is for vacant buildings in general. If you have a vacant building, if you know of a vacant building that you want to help to repurpose, to revitalize, this program can provide financial assistance to help make that happen. When I talk about hospitality, yes, I mean hotel rooms. We need thousands of more hotel rooms in downtown Louisville to keep up with the growing demand from people coming from all around the country to visit Louisville, and having more hotels would be great. Again, we'd love to see more people living downtown with a strong preference for projects that include residential as well.
How much funding is available to each individual project?
So this can be up to several $1 million. There's not a direct cap, and that's why we're being why we're not providing specific details, because depending on the demand out there, depending on how many projects we can make reality, we have some flexibility within this fund that was provided by the General Assembly. But this can be for larger projects. So this can be in the millions of dollars if that's what a big project like doing the Kentucky Home Life building across the street might take to actually make that become a reality. Of course, there'd be smaller projects as well. We're going to fill the gap. We're not looking to enrich those who are doing these revitalizations. We're helping to make a project happen that otherwise wouldn't without this support.
Is there a cap on the actual amount for this initiative of that $100 million?
There is not at this time. No, we have some flexibility. There are some projects that we've announced specific amount contributions into, $22.5 million to the community care campus, for example. We'll announce some specific numbers of other projects as we go along, but there are a few that are still in the early stages, and so we still have some flexibility. We want to help make projects happen soon. We want to help make projects a reality, and so we're purposely keeping that flexibility.
Because that bill had 6 specific projects that it funded, what's the impact on the other, Butchertown Stadium District?
Sure.
What's the route on that legislation? Are they in jeopardy? Or?
No, all 6 of those projects will receive support. We're working with all 6 of the leaders of those projects. And so some of those, which we haven't announced yet, we're nearing completion on what those projects will look like, what the specific amount of this $100 million that will go towards that project. And I hope in the new year to have some very exciting announcements on some of those other projects as well.
Have any developers reached out already seeking maybe help with this, and what are those projects?
So we've been in touch with owners of several of the buildings that are vacant around downtown. As I mentioned, the Home Life building, the Starks building, the Landmark building. I mean, the Humana Tower is going to be vacant at the end of next year. That could possibly be an opportunity. There are buildings on 4th Street that are vacant as well. There are a lot of buildings that fit this guideline. We, working with Rebecca Fleischaker and others at Downtown Partnership, we've given some folks a heads up, but that's why we have the deadline on February 10th to give people plenty of time to learn about this program that might not know about it and to get their applications in.
What is the
trying to do to lure a full-size grocery store to downtown? That's something that comes up as an issue anytime we talk about bringing a lot of new residents to downtown. There's not a grocery store for them to go to.
So we're working with a couple of projects that are considering grocery stores as part of their residential developments. One or two of them are in the downtown central business area that Jeff defined earlier. There's a project in Nulu that's looking at it as well. We definitely want and need a grocery store in downtown Louisville, and so we're working on that. The challenge is that many national grocery stores have very specific formulas that they're using that have that look at density, number of people who live there, and other criteria. We are working so that they understand new people are moving down here, that they understand all of the activities that happen down here, even for people that aren't living here as well. So we continue to make the pitch. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue working on that.
Greenberg, you mentioned the Home Life building. The last time I talked to Code and Ethics, they said that it's under the foreclosure process and that there's a potential new buyer on this. You mentioned you're talking to the owner. Is this the previous owner? Is this the new buyer?
Yeah, again, I should have clarified. Some of these buildings are owned by banks right now as well. And so we're going to make sure that they're aware of that as well. It's not necessarily just an individual or development company. In one or two of the cases that we're aware of vacant buildings, they have been foreclosed upon. This gives a great opportunity to someone to buy the building out of foreclosure and to have a little bit more support to make the project happen. Otherwise, they won't buy the building out of foreclosure, I don't think.
Details about this new buyer. Are they looking into this program?
Oh, I don't have any details on the Kentucky Home Life building. No, just to be clear, I don't have details on that project at all. We would love for there to be a new owner of the Kentucky Home Life building that takes advantage of this program, just as we would other buildings that have been sitting vacant since the pandemic.
The buildings targeted by this don't have to be entirely vacant, or is that some vacancy?
They don't have to be entirely vacant, but the more vacant they are, the more likely they are to receive funding here. I mean, this is not intended to just be tenant improvements in a building that has 15% vacancy or something like that. That is not the intention here. That's not what these funds will be used for.
With the civic center that is part of the city's RFP that was announced last year,
the building right here across the alley.
Would they qualify for this fund?
It could be eligible. I mean, it is a mostly vacant building that will soon be vacant when the sheriff moves, and so yes, that could be eligible. But surface parking lots cannot be eligible. Hold on.
Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of when the Louisville Gardens rent rehab project was announced. We wanted to check in on the status of that project. I know there still isn't a development agreement. Can you talk about how close that is to happening?
Sure. Revitalizing historic buildings, particularly ones like the Louisville Gardens that have been vacant for a couple of decades or more, is incredibly challenging. It's full of surprises. It's difficult to get done, particularly a project like that has a really amazing goal to turn into a world-class production studio. The good news is progress has been made over the past couple of months. There are folks that have been in that building recently that are doing work. One of the challenges of a building like that is the structure deteriorates, and you might not know what the structure has done over the many years, many decades in this case, that it's been vacant. And so some of the work that's been done in there is they're doing a mapping of what the current structure is now. They discovered, for example, that one of the walls was bowing 8 inches over the sidewalk. That is a significant structural issue that needs to be addressed. So they're working on addressing all of those structural issues that they have identified. We are working with the developer. We hope to have a development agreement signed here in the next 30 to 60 days. They are applying for state historic tax credits that make their allocation in the springtime. They are also one of the eligible projects under this program. So I am more optimistic than ever that in 2025 we'll see some significant progress on the Louisville Gardens project.
Separate topic here. Fundraising for your re-election campaign is underway. Election results show Jefferson County is shifting a bit more conservative. Do you appeal to this changing demographic?
And I'm going to talk more about re-election things outside of this building than in this building, but I will just remind everybody that starting in January 1st of next year, city government becomes nonpartisan under the new state law. We are no longer running as Democrats or Republicans. We are running as Louisvillians, people that are focused on bringing the community together, on continuing to move the city in a new direction. I feel good about where we are. There's a lot of work left to be done. I still feel like we're just getting started every morning that I wake up. I'd be happy to talk more about that, but I'll be talking about my reelection campaign a lot more next year and outside of any government building.
Do you believe that the city will be able to reach an agreement with the Justice Department before the Trump administration takes over?
We are working with a sense of urgency. I literally came from a meeting earlier this morning where we were focused on this very issue. There is not a day that goes by that my team and I are not actively working with the United States Department of Justice towards getting a consent decree agreement in place. Let me remind the community that we have said from the beginning, there are a few areas that we are focused on. First and foremost, we are committed to continuing to make improvements and reform to LMPD. We have not waited to have a consent decree agreement in place. We started taking action 2 years ago, and under the leadership of Chief Humphrey, that work continues every day to make improvements. Number two, any consent decree agreement that we sign with the Department of Justice needs to have specific performance measurements and a clear path on when and how we exit that agreement. Three, the work of reform and improving LMPD must go hand in hand with their efforts to improve public safety. We must not handcuff our police. We must make sure that they still have the ability to reduce violent crime in our city and improve public safety. And finally, the agreement needs to be financially responsible. There are other cities that are a decade or more into a consent decree that have cost $50, $60, $70 million or more that's paid towards out-of-state monitors. We want to make sure we are investing the funds that we have locally in improving public safety, in fair policing, in constitutional policing, and continue to make improvements. We're making good progress. We're working on it every day, and we will continue to work on it every day.
Does LMPD need federal oversight, or do you believe this is something the city can do on its own?
Well, we have been doing it on our own for the past 2 years because we have not waited. We are taking action, and we continue to work very closely with the DOJ to get an agreement in place.
Does LMPD need federal oversight?
I answered that question. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Have a good day.